Hey everybody, what's going on? I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom for the week of March 19th through the 26th of 2023. And before we jump in, I just want to make an announcement for those of you who haven't heard. I am now offering a new and full moon ceremony, intention setting, personalized how the moons will affect you if you come to a webinar. I'm doing that twice a month. So you can find it on my webpage, jamiedawn.com. And those of you who follow me at 12 Listen, it's also there in 12 Academy. So come find me. I would love to have you. Thank you for those of you who have already signed up. And our very first one is going to be the Aries new moon, which I will talk about because that happens to be this coming week. So let's start though with Saturday, Sunday, when Mercury enters the sign of Aries. So we are entering into Aries season, and that also means spring equinox. Well, right at the beginning of the week, we've got the moon in Pisces canoodling with Saturn and Mercury entering into Aries. When Mercury's in Aries, our minds and tongues can become pretty sharp. Now, this is great if we feel like we've stagnated or we feel like we've been a little too much in the clouds, and that we can't seem to think straight sometimes, or it seems like there's a lot of dreamy like quality to it, but not a lot of action. Well, with Mercury in Aries, our minds can start processing things pretty fast, and we may be driven to learn things that we're really passionate about. So if you felt like you're a little procrastinating or just wasn't happening quite as fast as maybe you think you should or others, stay with it, because beginning of the week, we're going to start to pick up here. Our thoughts and our conversations can be very stimulating. So if it's been a little blah, it's going to get busier. Also, there is an opportunity, as I mentioned, with Pisces moon canoodling Saturn, where our creativity can really feed our souls and give us an opportunity to be able to finally share with others what we were actually thinking and feeling, what we were dreaming about. It's a great opportunity to collaborate, to work with others and say, I have this idea, I need some action behind it. And they say, I can help you with it. So this could be a really nice kickoff into the spring equinox, which happens Monday to Tuesday. And we have this new life springing forth as the sun enters Aries Monday night into Tuesday morning. And we can feel energized that things finally have this kind of sense of freedom and independence. We're ready to get moving, ready to get going. We might want to work on some projects that really inspire us, and that we're able to actually start to see some action happening, opportunities to create new things and form new relationships. So if you're single and you're looking for love, this is the time of year and this energy here where you can turn your attention towards, hey, you know what? I want to have some fun. I'm going to do me. And you watch like a moth to a flame. The other person shows up and says, I want to join you on this. The great thing too is that there's a lot of innocence here with Aries energy. So we may approach things in a fearless way that maybe we held ourselves back before. And now we can start to say, you know what, let's just go where angels dare to tread, try some things. Be careful, because the Aries energy also has us often thinking or speaking without thinking, but thinking things so fast that we miss some of the details, or we miss some of the opportunity to include others. And that might be really important for us as we're trying to bring some of our visions to reality. So as I mentioned, we got the new moon in Aries Tuesday into Wednesday. So the sun and moon are canoodling, and the sun is what gives us life, vitality, our motivation and creativity. It also brings opportunities. And as I mentioned with Aries, we're wanting to have this new oomph, this new life in us. And then the moon is our emotional foundations, our sense of security. It's our foundation of emotional connection within our truth. And it gives us our instinctual habits as well. And we need to feel safe with it wherever the moon is, when there's a aspect that's activating the moon. So the sun and the moon, when they're in a new moon phase, is that they're canoodling with each other, they're conjunct. And so we don't see the light of the moon. It makes us a little more internal, but this is a fiery moon. And so when these two are coming together in the sign of Aries, we may find ourselves going, you know what I feel I need isn't necessarily to hibernate. What I need is to really get clear about the intentions I want to set. And letting this be the new year, because it's the new zodiacal year, this is where maybe I do a vision board, or I ask questions like, what do I want most now that would give me the most energy, the most life force that would inspire me? Who do I believe I will become when I get this? And why do I want this now? These are all really good questions to help shape the intentions that we're setting for this next, I'll say, year. Now, Thursday, this is another reason why this week is such a big week. We've got Pluto moving into Aquarius. Yes, you've heard me talk about it. You've heard other astrologers talk about it. People who even aren't into astrology are probably talking about it. It's a big deal. It's the first time in over 200 years that Pluto has been in the sign of Aquarius. None of us have experienced it in this lifetime. It's been in Capricorn since January of 2008. So those of you with Capricorn energy in your chart, they really influence. You've been feeling that transformation, that exposure, that surrender or die, as I've been calling it with Pluto, that theme that we're needing to slough off all this stuff from maybe too rigid of tradition and institutions and things that are no longer serving us, and transforming them into something that moves us into our greater evolution and progress. This is what Pluto in moving into Aquarius is going to give us, is that we're going to make progress through exposure and transformation in the areas of science, medicine, technology, innovation, space exploration. And Pluto's going to dance in the sign of Aquarius back and forth in, because it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn this year, and then back into Aquarius next year, and back into Capricorn, where it finally settles into the sign of Aquarius in November of next year, 2024. So we're going to have a little taster here for a few months until Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn. Then we get to kind of, I say, dust off any little bit of residue from the Capricorn energy that wasn't quite complete. But we will start to see more confirmations, more explorations, more innovations when it comes to like AI, when it comes to microchipping, when it comes to information sharing, possibly even watch identity thefts, watch also the cyber attacks, things like that. I will say too, we may be wrestling with issues regarding institutions and finances still because of the retrograde back into Capricorn. This again sets us up for more progress. We have to keep reminding ourselves there's no turning back, only forward. Those of you who have pretty heavy Aquarius energy in your chart, wherever Pluto's transiting, you look at that house and you look at what planet may be in Aquarius. That's where the transformation and change happens. That's where I have to surrender to the external circumstances that show up. And what Pluto does is it brings up the internal responses or reactions from external pressures. So think of it like a diamond being tumbled and cut and formed. Right? When we get it, it's rough, but as we apply pressure to it, it becomes this most beautiful, precious gem. And that's what I hope all of us can come out of the next cycle and the next phase of Pluto to be able to say that. Now, the other big movement with this week, if we've got Mars leaving Gemini, entering the sign of Cancer on Saturday. It's a big deal because Mars has been in the sign of Gemini since August. We're exhausted from it because it's created that square to Neptune, which has created some frustrations here. And yet here we are at the last degrees of Mars in Gemini this week, and then it enters Cancer. And we should feel some of this drive to gather information, to learn as much as possible. Maybe we have a little bit of a crisis moment, because remember I mentioned that anaretic degree of 29, that our minds may go, wait a minute, what if I don't have enough information? How am I supposed to be successful at this? Or how am I supposed to connect with others? And we may find ourselves overwhelmed during this week with information. It's like, how do I sort through all this? Hang in there. Remember, come back to your center. set good boundaries, and then allow yourself to take things one step at a time. Now, with Mars and Cancer, we're going to feel this great protector coming in. The thing about Mars, in the Roman mythology, Mars was the protector of the community. And nothing better than Cancer as being the nurturer, the homebody, the one that fights for family when Mars is sitting here in that sign. So there's also going to be this great desire for emotional security that can drive us to protect and hold on to what we have. I'd like to see this manifest more in appreciating what we have and knowing that the people and the things that we spend the most time with to be precious and to show up fully and to make the most of every situation, because we never know when things are going to change. I would say too that relationships here with this Mars and Cancer may find more anchoring, may find a little bit more solidity. If you're wondering, do I love them more than they love me? Or are we really going more into the future? Can we really continue to provide security for each other? Well, Mars is going to make this trine to Saturn, because Saturn's in the beginning stages of Pisces. And as Mars is beginning through the sign of Cancer in the next week to 2 weeks, we're going to feel this trine where we want to solidify, we want to anchor something that feels more secure. Now, granted, we're dealing with water signs with Pisces and Cancer. So this is all about the feeling. This is all about the intuitive piece, the spiritual nature. So maybe there's more security that shows up for us because we have this intuitive and spiritual connection with our beloved, and that we don't always have to physically be present with them to know that we're still connected to them. This is also a great time if you are single and you're looking for love to create a home environment, not just externally a home, but internally, and then connect with others with your full presence by nurturing them, by showing up. And you watch, there's going to be this wonderful energy where you two can communicate from a very sweet space. And then that's what's like, hey, maybe we should go to dinner and keep this conversation flowing. There's going to probably be a desire and a sense of belonging. So we want to feel like we're at home. Fighting for the rights of others can also show up here, especially family members. Now, that could be family member of origin or choice, and that can be a big theme right now. And showing up, I will say this too, on the shadow side of Mars and Cancer, we may find where homes are threatened or there's domestic violence that can also show up during this time that we may have to rescue, be a part of. I lend myself over to the more positive side of Mars and Cancer, which is that we fight for a cause. And this isn't about fighting against something or someone, but standing up for something or for someone that may need a voice and or may need a champion. And I would say focusing on our home activities during this time, it's perfect for selling a home, buying a home, renovating a home, anything to do with your home structure. But remember that our outer home can be a representation of where we feel like we belong inside of ourselves. So if there's some internal work that you want to do with your emotional body, maybe you're dealing with attachment styles, anxious, avoidant, secure, work with a health professional, with a coach, with somebody that can help you work through some of that so that you can feel more secure within yourself, more safe within yourself. The other thing about Mars and Cancer is we may be a little more passive aggressive with things. Now, that can serve us if we're trying to make things go a little slower because it's too fast with all the Aries energy, that we need to slow some things down. The downside to the passive aggressive piece, of course, is that it doesn't feel good because it feels manipulative. It is manipulative, and you have to kind of parse through what are they really saying or what are they really wanting here. So I'm going to offer that we take the Mars and Gemini energy that we've experienced over the last 7 months, curiosity driven by learning, and keep using that as a way of understanding and deepening, taking our time especially with our relationships that are really important to us. So, stay curious, stay open. Mars and Cancer energy invites us to really be open and receptive during this time if we can. Try not to get frustrated because things are moving at its own pace. Because remember this, even though a lot of astrologers, and I agree, Mars and Cancer move slower, water. It's a water sign. And if anybody has been on the receiving end of a flood, of a big flooding, which I'm sorry to say that it is happening around the world, in California in particular, but all over the world. If you have dealt with flooding, then you understand that that water's rushing pretty fast. So we can get in, we can float, we can work with it. And that's the whole thing about water energy, is that it's really about being in the flow. That's where our creativity shines. That's where our connections can be rich and fertile. And maybe, just maybe, we can start really trusting that intuitive nature within ourselves and say, I don't understand why I'm doing this, or this doesn't quite make logical sense, but it's what I feel is the right direction to go. And then boom, all the confirmations show up and things can just flow. So if you're looking for that job, or you're looking for a change in finance or a change in your relationship, go with the flow, trust in the process. This is a beautiful time to do that. All right, you guys, I really hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Come find me at jamiedawn.com. I look forward to sharing the new moon spring equinox with you on Monday, the 20th. And if you can't make that one, sign up for the April 5th one, it's actually April 4th. I'm doing it the day before it actually happens, so that you can start to feel all that energy. Because when these moons are applying, when planets are applying, that's where we feel the greatest energy for us. So that's why I've chosen the day before. So find me at jamiedawn.com, sign up for these sessions. I would love to spend them with you. And if not, you can still find me and meet with me. I'm here to support however I can. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a great week.